Hey folks, welcome back to the Cotswold Collectibles channel. I'm Greg Brown, owner of Cotswold Collectibles, and we're going to change things up this week and we're going to start talking about vintage. So I brought my good friend Ace Allgood, who knows anything and everything you ever wanted to know about vintage G.I. Joe, Action Man, and such like that. And so today we're going to talk about vintage boots. Woohoo, woohoo. So I'll take it away.
You're ready to go. So I will just tell you that I've learned a lot about shoes, G.I. Joe shoes and Action Man shoes over the years, and it's quite confusing. And I get a lot of questions at various shows and events where people go, how do you tell the difference between all the different shoes? And if it says Hong Kong on it, what does that mean? And so I like to kind of figure, I know I didn't bring any, I have no knockoff boots here, but I definitely have all vintage G.I. Joe or some version of G.I. Joe boots that are here. Now, I don't have every version, but I have a lot of versions, as you can tell. And so what I thought we would do is we would just kind of start at the left and go to the right and kind of talk about all the different boots that we know that are out there and kind of some things that you can look at to kind of help you identify it. I will start this off by saying pretty much if it says Hong Kong on the boot, particularly printed on it anywhere up above or up here, it is going to be fake, a knockoff. Just that's kind of rule number one about boots. Also, there are generalizations of boots, but there are not any fine rules about boots. Like you can't say like every boot that has Hong Kong on it is a knockoff, because that's not true. There actually are some G.I. Joe boots that have markings of Hong Kong, but 99% of them that do say Hong Kong are a knockoff. So that's why it gets a little bit confusing about boots.
Gotcha.
Anyway, so let's start over here to the left, and I'm gonna start here with just your basic tall black G.I. Joe boots. And what you can kind of see here, and we'll get close-ups of these as you go, but they have a ridge that kind of goes around the base of the boot. And that's kind of the basic G.I. Joe boot. And that's kind of, you can tell by the detail of the laces. And you can also tell by the ridge around the edge of the bottom of the boot. And that's just your basic G.I. Joe, most common true vintage boot. Now this came in black and brown as tall, and short as black and brown. Those are the basic boots, and I would just kind of, as you can kind of see, I have variations of each one as we'll kind of go through that. Now, as we say, they are black boots that have many variations of this. We have, the next one we're gonna go through, I'll just go through the line so we don't get too confusing and jumping around here, but the next one in the line is this. And these are the numbered black boots. And these are pretty rare because they came out, I believe, in 67, 68 is kind of the era of them. And they're kind of known as the, these are the tan or the green MP boots. So these have a thinner ridge around the bottom, and they are numbered 1 and 2. They're harder to find than the more common black boots, but they went with the 67 and 68 sets from my understanding.
So on these, I apologize, on these boots, did they have Hasbro marking on them at all, or is it just that one has 1 and 2?
All it has is 1 and 2. That's the other confusing thing about the boots.
Right.
Again, there are rules, but not laws. But almost all boots do not have any Hasbro markings.
Okay.
There are exceptions, and we will get to those.
Okay,
but
okay, gotcha.
Generally speaking, that's a great question because they're not, almost everything else is marked Hasbro,
right.
But the boots are not marked Hasbro. Now we're going to slip to these boots right here. And these are the early rubber boots.
Ones, yeah.
And this is another one of those exceptions to the rule. This is the only boot that is marked Hong Kong, okay? And what's interesting is you'll notice it's got a very flat bottom, smooth flat bottom, and on the base of the heel, it's just in very tiny letters, it says Hong Kong. Now, these boots are soft and supple, as you can see. They frequently, because of the plasticizers and all that stuff, get very, very, very hard.
Really?
And are frequently shrunken to the feet, and are very, sometimes it's like, if you get a really, really hard pair, it's like, well, how do I get them on a figure? Well, What you could do is you could boil the boot and get it all soft and supple, or heat it up with a heat gun or something like that,
hair
and put it
dryer.
on hair dryer and get it all. But be careful, you don't want to melt it. And you could put it on a figure. I'd put it on baby feet if you had baby feet. And but basically, these are the black version. Now those boots also came in brown.
Yeah.
And again, these are the soft and supple. These are a great, beautiful pair of soft and supple brown boots. These are hard to find. These are early first issue, and they have a little bit of a different detail. They're really cool boots, and they're soft and rubbery when you can find them soft and rubbery. But like I said, you can find them where they're just hard as a rock,
Right.
and they're pretty firm.
So those two would have been coming out in 64.
These are 64 early 64 GI Joe. Now, as we all know, there's the dates are vague and kind of misunderstanding. They were trying to get as much product out as they could at one time.
Right.
But these are pretty much early 64. These are your triple TMs.
Right.
What you'd put on your triple TM box figure, or your goldenrod figure.
Goldenrod.
Or your green MP kind of guy. But these are fun little things to have, and they show up. I mean, it's not like they're so hard you can never find them. But that's a great thing about looking for boots. I mean, you can even go look in a boot bin sometimes, and I found shrunken up these early boots because people just don't really know what they are.
Right. They don't know if they're real or not.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so since we're at brown, I am gonna slightly jump around. I'm gonna put these here and that there, but no one will know. So these boots are your basic. Again, we're gonna go back to your basic issue brown boots. These came with your Action Soldier, your Action Marine. They were out on many sets. And these are probably your most common boots, your brown tall boots.
Mm-hmm.
And these have the ridge along the bottom, as you can see. And the detail. Another thing too to look at them on these boots is the detail of the laces. Hasbro just did a great job on their detail on almost every product they had, and their boots were really no exception. And knockoff boots really typically do have lame looking laces.
Right.
Not always, but sometimes.
And they're generally not as detailed because they're generally like a knockoff, so they recast them, and so the detail just isn't there as well.
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
And I don't know how they did it. They would cast the originals and just, probably try to make something similar to that just to save the time.
Right.
But the detail of the Hasbro boots are typically very, 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 very good. Okay, so I'm going to then go to these, and these are numbered brown boots. And they have a thin ridge, and they're numbered 1 and 2.
Okay.
Now, these boots are later, and these boots came with the Skydive to Danger set.
Oh, wow.
But they also came with a lot of Action Man sets.
Really?
So I'm assuming that these were like 70s boots,
Mm-hmm.
and Hasbro wanted to put, because I know these numbered ones came with the Skydive to Danger. I know that's the set that they came in, but there are probably other sets they came in as well. So
is that rubbery supple, or is it still the plastic?
No, it's still the plasticky. They're very similar to the. I mean, they look, just like your average boots, except they've got a slightly smaller ridge on the bottom, and then they're numbered 1 and 2.
Gotcha.
Now, this other pair of brown boots that I've got here is really, really weird. And these are frequently mistaken for, quote unquote, the rubber boots. And yeah, they are rubber boots. They've got flat bottoms, but only one of them says Japan on it.
Really? Just one boot?
One boot, and that's, I believe, the left boot has the Japan on it.
Okay.
But they're flat on the bottom. Flat. They look if you look at the rubber boots, they're very similar. Now, what's interesting is they've got a thinner plastic, and you can look through them, and you can almost see the light coming through.
Yeah.
Do you know what these are? Nope.
Initially, when I looked at them, I thought they were knockoffs because the plastic was so thin.
Yeah.
I'm guessing if it's Japan, it's early.
Nope.
What?
Takara.
Are you serious?
Yes, sir. Ding,
Really?
ding, ding. Takara.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, interesting. Yeah, these are cool, and a lot of times they get mistaken for like I said, the early rubber
The early
boots.
stuff because of Japan.
Yeah, but these are like, I'm going to guess those are, these are the early boots that the late,
Takara Combat Joe.
Yeah.
Wow.
The earlier guys.
That's cool.
Not the 80s Joe, not the 80s Takara, but the late 60s and the late 60s Takara. We can get into that. That's a whole that's a whole other rabbit hole. Okay. So then let's switch to, I'm gonna get through the browns, I think. So let's here we got the short brown boots. And these are Soldiers of the World boots.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And they are just like G.I. Joe black boots, which we'll show, but they've got the regular typical ridge on the bottom of the boot, and they're short. And this came with the Japanese soldier, came with the British soldier, and the Australian soldier, if I'm not mistaken.
The Jungle Fighter.
The Jungle Fighter, yeah. And, these are obviously quite a bit harder to find than the black boots. But they can be found, and you can certainly find one and match up a friend to them and all that kind of stuff. Now, I don't have a transition pair of the boots, but these are what's called the late AT boots.
Okay.
And they're the flat bottom brown boots. Now, there is another boot that's out there that's very similar to these, that are brown boots that are numbered 1 and 2. Mm-hmm. They have flat bottoms. They're a little lower detail than these boots. If you see the two boots together, you can definitely tell a difference in the detail of the boots. But the numbered boots, the numbered 1 and the numbered 2 boots, are Mouth of Doom boots.
Okay, I was going to ask you that.
So those are what the Mouth of Doom boots are the 1 and the 2s. But they're flat bottomed.
So Mouth of Doom came out when?
69.
So very late. Okay.
Very well late as far in what we call the vintage era.
Yeah, the painted, yeah.
One thing about those 69 boots that are numbered 1 and 2 is they frequently will split on the back.
Really?
I don't know. I didn't even get the silver boots out here, which is a whole other thing. But there's the silver boots that came out at that same era, which were used for Mysterious Explosion. Mm-hmm. Those will frequently split. Those are also numbered 1 and 2, with probably the exact same mold as the Mouth of Doom boots.
So also a 1969 issue.
Yeah.
So that they're using the same tooling at the same time.
They're using the same tooling at the same time because it's the same plastic. They split.
Right.
And the silver boots are a lot easier to find numbered than the brown boots.
The brown ones, yeah. The brown ones do seem hard to find.
Yeah. I think that we should wrap this up, and I will at the next episode. What I'll do is I'll start off with a pair of those silver numbered boots.
Awesome, it's a good
we can do that, and I think that's a great stopping point for now. And we'll see you guys next week for the next episode of Vintage G.I. Joe Boots.
All right, folks, make sure that you like and subscribe below to get more information about these shows, and we'll check back with you next week with Ace to continue on this discussion on vintage boots. See you then.